All right, well, we may kick off. My name is Donna Hanson Squires. I'm a head of customer success here at Guroo Learning. Today, we have Josh and Kathleen taking us through the new sales and finance suite. Just a couple of housekeeping things. We are recording this session and we'll send it out to you after. If you do have any questions throughout, please pop them in the chat and we'll try to get to them when we can. All right, I might hand over to Josh then. Thanks,
Excellent.
Josh.
Thank you, Donna, and thanks everyone for joining at lunchtime on a Friday. Today, we're going to walk you through our new sales and finance suite. So this is some collection of features that our team has been working on really hard over the last 12 months, and we've already started to roll out to our customers, including two of our key customers that are the first ones to implement it. And we'll be progressively rolling it out across the rest of our customers over the next month. So today I've got a few introduction slides just to take you through what the Sales and Finance Suite is. And my colleague Kathleen is going to do a bit of a demo. So I'll give you that overview. Kathleen will walk through the customer buying and self-service experience. We'll also have a look at what the experience is like for a salesperson and what orders and proposals are like. We'll then got a few slides to take you some of the sales and reporting that's available on the platform and then within the new Sales and Finance Suite. After we, look at the key features that are available, we'll walk through two areas where we can give you some advice on how to use those features. The first area is using price plans combined with purchase terms to drive revenue. And the second thing we'll look at is how to use these different features to set up a partner program as well. And finally, we'll give you some insights into what's coming next for the Sales and Finance Suite over the next 6 to 12 months as we build out some additional features after this initial launch. So what is the Sales and Finance Suite? It's essentially a collection of features that we've built into Academy to enable B2B sales. That includes not just the original purchase, but also looking at how we manage withdrawals, transfers, and substitutions. And when we talk about B2B sales, we mean and talk about it at three different levels. Individual professionals buying for themselves, usually sponsored by their organization. Teams, so a manager buying for a small team of 2 to 5 people, and then purchasing at an organization level as well. So why did we build it? Firstly, short course finances are complex, particularly once you take into account transfers, withdrawals, people substituting to other courses, people wanting to buy multiple courses with different course owners at the same time. So we wanted to find a way to automate all of that financial flow so the right money ends up in the right place. Secondly, we wanted to look at how we can help stop revenue delays and revenue leakage from all of those movements. So how do we make sure that people don't just transfer without, for example, paying a fee? On the flip side, we still wanted to be able to offer that flexibility to customers in a self-service way, and obviously in exchange for any fees that you might want to collect along the way. Finally, on the sales side, we wanted to have a look at how we can use these features to increase deal size, particularly at that organization level buyer, while also encouraging team purchasing. And then finally, enable strategic pricing. So the ability to set up different price points for different programs and make sure that there's an opportunity there to drive revenue using pricing as a lever. So what are we actually launching today? We'll walk through the different features at 3 different levels or 3 different types of personas. The first one for the customer. So the customer currently on Academy can only create single course, single person orders. We'll be introducing multi-course orders as part of this. Team-based purchasing as well as self-managed transfers, withdrawals, and substitutions. If someone withdraws from a program, I've also introduced credits on hold so that you can hold that credit essentially as a voucher for them to use on a future course. At an organization level, customers will be able to have development funds that they can use to burn down on over a period of time. And then we've also refreshed our invoicing credit card payment experience as well for the customer. For the sales team, they can now create customer orders and proposals on platform and manage and track those. They can create draft orders. They can look at what proposals are out there waiting to be accepted by customers. We've obviously got the sales side of prepayments and development funds, which can be set up by salespeople to track how people are going and burning down on those development funds. The ability to set up all the price plans, which I'll go into more detail after Kathleen does her demo. Purchase terms, so the ability to assign different purchase terms to different price plans. So you don't just have to have universal purchase terms anymore. Partner pricing, which I'll also go into at the end of this webinar. And we've also launched straight up some new reports and dashboards, as well as abandoned order recovery for salespeople to follow up on people who have started an order but might not have finished it, to help also drive some revenue. And then on the finance side, obviously associated to all of that is the sales and revenue recognition reporting. So we've built a whole bunch of reports out to automate essentially end of month for our finance teams, including the automation of all the financial movements between courses so that it's easier to allocate revenue to the right course owner. The management of all the credits on hold, the management of prepayments, credit notes and invoices are all now handled within Academy automatically when transfers, withdrawals and substitutions happen. We've also added purchase order tracking, where the customer or the salesperson can upload purchase order numbers and purchase order details to go to the finance team. There's a automated EFT reconciliation. So one thing that's really important to business customers is to be able to pay by bank transfer. It's also difficult to reconcile. So we've created the ability to automatically reconcile those payments from a feed from bank. And then finally, we've also added refund requests. So I'm going to hand over to Kathleen now, who's going to take us through a quick demo of the customer purchasing experience, the self-service transfer experience, and then a quick overview of the sales and finance navigation for the sales and finance team, and then have a quick look at orders and proposals. And then I'll come back and take you through some of those other strategies that you could use these features for within your sales team. Over to you, Kathleen. Stop sharing.
Thank you, Josh. All right. Am I successfully sharing? Yep.
You are.
Great. All right. So as Josh said, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking through the customer purchase process. And once that's done, we'll talk a little bit about how a salesperson might create an order and a proposal for their customers on behalf of the customer. So this is our little demonstration sample course. You'll see up here that I've got a little flag set up to say that there's a multi-seat discount. I just wanted to point that out because we'll come back to that later. So if I choose to enroll in this cohort of leading successful teams, then when I get to the enrollment page, I'm presented with 4 different purchase plans. So Josh is going to talk a little bit about different types of strategies for setting up purchase plans later in this webinar. But broadly speaking, at a high level, the idea is we've set up 3 publicly available purchase plans that have different purchase terms related to the different price points. So we have a flexible purchase plan that lets people transfer or withdraw up to 7 days before the course starts. That's the most expensive plan. If people are a little bit more locked in and they understand that they might, or they know that they might not need those flexible purchase terms, then they can jump down to the standard purchase terms. The standard purchase plan, where the purchase terms are a little bit less flexible, or they can choose the cheapest price, which has the most inflexible purchase terms, and go for the early bird price. So the idea is flexibility costs a little bit more money, and you can set those different purchase plans up depending on the different options you want to make available to your customers. Finally, down here, we've got a special exclusive. You can see the little exclusive tag here, partner price. These are purchase plans that you can set up specifically for different users within your platform. It might be users that belong to a specific organization. It might be your staff or team members. It might be your alumni users or your member organizations. While we advertise this price, we obviously check once the person logs in whether or not they're eligible to use that price. So for today, I am going to choose the flexible or the most expensive price. And I'm going to log in with a user I have created earlier. 1 moment while I get the right login email.
There we go. Oops. So the first thing that the person who's purchasing is presented with is their order form, where they choose the products or the courses or the programs that they want to purchase. So you'll see here on this screen that I've decided to purchase Leading Successful Teams, and this cohort starts on the 1st of June. This is the name of the person that's purchasing, Sarah Jones. Sarah may or may not want to attend the course herself. She may be purchasing on behalf of her team. If she doesn't want to attend the course herself, she can remove herself or change her details to a different learner. She can also add additional learners for her team. Once she does that, you'll see up here that the 10% discount for a multi-seat purchase has been applied. So Sarah's getting a bit of a discount for including more than one person on her order. Just bear with me while I add the learner details. So now Sarah has purchased 2 seats in the Leading Successful Teams cohort starting on the 1st of June. She's received a multi-seat discount for that particular multi-seat purchase. She can also add additional programs to her order. So if there are other programs she's interested in purchasing from this particular organization, she can go to the catalog to browse the programs, or she can browse the programs directly in a little window that opens up here. So I'm going to add to Sarah's order a seat in the Augment Your Organization with AI program. So again, once she chooses that program, she can decide, do I want the standard fee that has more flexible terms and conditions, or the early bird fee that's a little bit cheaper, but is a bit less flexible. So I'm going to choose standard. And now you can see that Sarah has 2 different programs on her order, one with 2 seats and the second one with 1 seat, and Sarah's just going to enroll herself there. So the total cost of this order is $8,580. Here she's given that she's required to put in her billing address, but she can also add information for her organization if she's purchasing on behalf of an organization. So she can add in her organization name. She can also optionally add in her organizational ABN and a purchase order number if she has one, so that she has all the information that she needs on her invoice when she takes it to be paid by her accounts payable department or whoever the appropriate person is. For obvious reasons, she also needs to add her billing address. And if she chooses, she can send this invoice directly to some other person. This might be her manager, or it might be her accounts payable department. So she can add an extra email address here to send that invoice directly to whoever the appropriate person is who's going to pay that invoice. Save and next. Here we explain to the customer the terms that they're agreeing to for the purchase plans and the cohorts that they're purchasing. So in this case, we're using cohort-based programs, and there's a clear explanation of the refunds, transfers, and substitutions policy that this customer is agreeing to by purchasing these courses. If there were different purchase terms for different programs or courses that we added to our order, for example, we added an AI course as well as a Leading Successful Teams course. If there was more than one set of purchase terms, then multiple sets of purchase terms would display on this screen. But the idea here is to just make it clear and obvious and upfront to the customer what they're agreeing to when they purchase their courses. So they need to confirm those terms and conditions. And then we have the payment screen. So Sarah is a user that I created earlier, and I applied a credit to her account, which you can see here. So the balance that she's due to pay is $8,580. Including the minus $700 discount that she received for purchasing more than 1 seat in one program. And there are 2 ways that she can get or acquire what we refer to as a credit on hold or a credit to spend later. She can either have withdrawn from a course prior to this particular purchase. Maybe she purchased a course last year and had to withdraw, so a credit was applied to her account, and now that credit is available to her to spend. The other way to acquire a credit is via a development fund, which Josh will spend a little bit of time talking about later, but it's basically applying a credit to somebody's account that they can use for future purchases. So if I use up my $1,000 credit, then the balance that I have to pay drops down to $7,580, and I can choose to pay now with a credit card or pay later with an invoice. If I choose to pay later via an invoice, then the invoice is generated with a credit card link on the invoice, so they can still pay by credit card in the future, or the invoice will have EFT transfer details or whatever other payment options that your particular organization offers to its customers. For now, though, I'm going to pay by credit card. Right. So when I choose to pay, what this does is it sends course invitations to the participants of the program, so Sarah herself plus her team members that she's invited or for whom she's purchasing on their behalf. So invitations to the platform are sent off to them so they can log in and view the onboarding part of the course. And the second thing that happens, as you can see now, is that the transaction information for the course is produced. So we've produced an invoice for Sarah as well as a receipt because she paid immediately via credit card. So you can see the invoice information. Each seat is represented as a different line item. The tax has been applied and the discount has been applied, and the purchase terms, as for completeness, are listed at the bottom to remind people what terms they've agreed to if they need to transfer, withdraw, or substitute. So Sarah has paid for her course. Over here on her home screen are the two courses that she purchased on her own behalf. So she purchased a seat for herself in Leading Successful Teams and Augment Your Organization with AI. And if she opens up her orders section, she can see her paid order. This is the one that I just purchased just now. And she can also manage her paid enrollments. So these are the two seats that she purchased on her own behalf for herself. And this is the seat that she purchased for her team member, in this case me, also in Leading Successful Teams. So let's say that myself, Kathleen Watson, can no longer attend this cohort of Leading Successful Teams. And Sarah has the option now to transfer or withdraw or substitute this particular seat. One thing to note is that these withdraw, transfer, and substitution settings are only available to customers who have paid. So if they haven't paid for their order, they can't use these particular features until they have paid. And the other thing to note is these are self-service options, which you can choose to make available depending on how you organize your courses and when you deliver them. So if it's not appropriate for a particular course to allow self-service withdrawals and transfers, then you can stop that happening and just manage withdrawals and transfers internally. So an example of that type of course might be an application-only course where people have to apply and their application has to be assessed before they're allowed to participate in the course. In that case, you probably wouldn't want to allow transfers and self-service transfers and substitutions. So I'm going to transfer this particular seat to another cohort. So on this screen, you'll see information about what's happening. So this is the learner, this is the purchaser, Sarah is the purchaser. The program that we're currently in is Leading Successful Teams on the 1st of June to the 16th of July. There's a little note here to say that transfer fees may apply, and that depends on where you're transferring to. So I'm going to transfer this seat to Augment Your Organization for AI. Again, you can choose the appropriate, or Sarah can choose the purchase plan that suits her best, maybe in this case, the early bird one. And this is how all that transfer process works financially. So we have our new program enrollment. Sarah's transferring Kathleen to Augment Your Organization with AI, and the price of that purchase that the purchase plan she's chosen is $1,320. In the purchase terms that she agreed to, any transfer incurs a $150 fee. So in addition to the course price, she needs to pay the $150 fee. So in total, she has to pay $1,470. Now, because she's transferring out of a course, Leading Successful Teams, which originally cost $3,465, then that amount is credited to the purchase, which means she has a balance remaining in credit of $1,995. So in this case, because she's transferring to a course that costs less than the original course, even with the addition of the transfer fee, she's going to have $1,995 credited to her account to spend on a future purchase. So assuming that's all fine with Sarah, we can carry on. Again, she's reminded of the terms and conditions and needs to agree to those. And this is a summary screen to just reiterate what Sarah's doing. Down here, you'll see that we have a choice for Sarah. She can choose to, because she's getting some money back, her new purchase costs less than her original purchase did. She can choose to apply that money to a credit on hold or to a refund so that she gets her money back. This is a setting that you can set within your finance setup. You may choose not to allow people to just ask for their money back. You may choose to only let them have their money as a credit on hold to use for a future purchase. If they want their money back, that might be something that they have to contact your sales department or your delivery department for and justify why they need their money back, essentially. So while I've enabled it for this particular transfer, it's something that you can lock down if it better suits your organization and only allow them to have a credit on hold. So I'll execute this or process this particular transfer. And what that will do for the revenue people or the finance people in the audience, it will remove the revenue from the Leading Successful Teams cohort, and it will move the revenue into the Augmenting Your Organization with AI cohort, so that you're no longer recognizing revenue for a seat that no longer exists in Leading Successful Teams, and the revenue will be recognized against the AI course that the person is now in instead. Excuse me. So Sarah has received a credit note for the return of or the withdrawal from her Leading Successful Teams cohort. And she has received a new invoice here for the administration fee that she paid, the $150 transfer fee, as well as her purchase of her new seat in the AI course. And that is how she's able to manage her enrollments. She can always go back to her order section and see all of her paid orders and continue to manage her paid enrollments via her home screen. So that's as much as I wanted to cover in the customer journey. But the other thing that I wanted to do as part of this demo was show how a sales team can create proposals and orders on behalf of customers. So I'm going to log out now from the Sarah account, and I'm going to log in as my own account. You'll obviously see that I have a lot more stuff here on the left-hand side. But for today, at least, we're going to focus on the sales and proposals section. So there's a lot of things in this menu. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I want to focus on the sales and proposals. But down here on the left-hand side, you'll see all of the finance features or all of the finance tools that you need in order to manage your financial processes and systems as part of your organization. So down here on the left, we have all of the transactions that have been managed via the platform and the transaction line items as well. We have sales by program, which Josh will talk about a little bit more. This is how we manage our refund requests and our credits on hold. But for the time being, I'm just going to focus on the sales and the orders and the proposal section. So up here on the top right-hand corner, we have a couple of buttons, new proposals and new orders. So the difference between a proposal, there's a few differences between a proposal and an order, but the key ones are that a proposal does not reserve seats in a program. So you can send a proposal out to a customer acknowledging that while they're still thinking about it, while they might change their minds, their seats aren't reserved for them. And the second thing a proposal does is it allows lots of editing. So if the customer changes their mind, if the customer doesn't know which participants they want to include in their proposal, if they don't know the names of the learners that are going to the course, then a proposal will let them amend and change that as much as necessary. Because with a proposal, we don't create any of the financial information until the proposal has been accepted. Conversely, the new order is similar, except that there's less opportunities for editing once it has been submitted, because all of the transaction and financial information is created as soon as the order is submitted. So really, it depends on how your sales teams are working with their customers. If they've worked with customers before and they're confident they know what they want, then they can create orders for them. If it's a customer who's really not sure and is still sort of working through what they might need for their team or their organization, then a proposal is probably the better answer. So if I create a proposal, let's create a proposal for Adam Smith. Similarly to the way that a customer selects programs, we select programs for Adam Smith's order. So if I add a program, maybe I'm wanting to purchase seats on augmenting your organization with AI, then you can see here as a salesperson, there's one slight difference than there was when we did this as a customer. So as a customer, we could see the standard and the early bird plans. But as a salesperson, I can see an additional plan here, which is a platinum partner plan. So this is one of those exclusive purchase plans that's only available to specific organizations or specific partners that you work with. And because I'm a salesperson and I know that Adam is part of the partner program or the platinum partner program, whatever you want to call it, then I can choose this special price for Adam in augmenting your organization with AI. As I said, this is a proposal, so we can add some additional learners to the proposal. You don't necessarily need to know who those participants might be. You might know that Adam is going, so you can enroll him as a purchaser. But for the other 2 seats, if Adam doesn't know who he's going to invite or who he wants to use those seats for, then you don't need to enter the participant details at this point. We just want to know that Adam is purchasing 3 seats in the AI course. He's eligible for a multi-seat discount as well as his partner price because he's purchased more than 2 seats on one order. And we can add some extra programs. He can also perhaps use the partner price for leading successful teams for himself. So we can add multiple, just the same way as a customer can add multiple programs to their order, a salesperson can do that as part of a proposal as well. So if we save and next, here's a little summary of Adam's proposal. There's a little text box here where you can write a personalized message to Adam to explain what you've done and what you put together for him and what he might need to do in order to accept the proposal. We summarize the seats that he's bought, so 3 seats in the AI program and 1 seat in the Leading Successful Teams program. Here, because it's a proposal, we don't need to add the organizational information or the billing details. As it's a proposal, we can allow Adam to do that himself, but I'll add his organizational name. And Adam can go ahead and add those when he decides to accept the proposal. There's a reminder of the purchase terms. And on the next screen, there's a couple of different options that you can set for this particular proposal. So first, we want to set the payment methods that we're allowing Adam to use to pay. So by default, we're happy to let Adam pay by credit card. He can pay right now, or well, he can pay when he accepts the proposal is what that means. He can also pay later by credit card or pay later by EFT, and you can choose to make those options available or not. And sometimes this might depend on the value of the purchase. If it's not a high value proposal, then maybe you'll only let him pay immediately by credit card. If it's a higher value proposal, lots of money, he might need to go to his finance department to pay that by EFT, then you can make that option available to him. The other scenario where you might only limit him to pay by credit card now is if the courses or the programs that he's purchasing start very soon. So if they start within the next few days, you might want to only give him the option to pay now by credit card, because it'll take too long for an EFT payment to process. We can set a time limit or a due date for which he needs to review and check the proposal by, and the invoice due date should he choose to accept the proposal. So I'm going to send that off to review and pay. As you see on this particular screen, we haven't generated an invoice yet. That proposal has been sent off. It's sitting here in the proposals for review section. If at any point you needed, Adam changed his mind, maybe he wants some extra seats or he wants some seats to be removed, you can come back, change it to draft and edit it again to accommodate Adam's changed requirements. Maybe he doesn't want this seat anymore, so we'll remove that one. And now he just has 2 seats in organizations for AI. Okay, in the interest of time, I won't spend any time showing how Adam can accept that proposal, but by submitting the proposal, Adam's received an email. He can log into the platform at any time and review the proposal that has been sent to him. And if he chooses to accept it, then he just has to add those extra pieces of information that the salesperson didn't know. He needs to add the names of the participants and the billing details for his organization. Maybe he also needs to add a purchase order number for this particular purchase. And once he's accepted it, then then the invoice will be generated and he can choose the appropriate payment method depending on the options that were available to him. So there's a couple of other things that Josh wanted to cover relating to sales reports and things like that. So I'll let him do that now.
Thanks, Kathleen. I'll just take the last 10 minutes to take you through a couple of the reporting features like Kathleen mentioned, and then just reinforce some of the points that Kathleen made about how we use pricing plans to drive revenue, and how to also set up a partner program. Right. So there's obviously, as you saw from the left-hand menu that Kathleen had up, some pretty extensive reporting available. I just wanted to cover off some of the key ones that are available for our finance managers. All the transaction reporting, so that they be invoices or credit notes, are available to report on. Each line item from each of those transactions is also available to report on and export. There's the ability to manage all the credits on hold, so you can balance the books at the end of the month as well. That's all rolled up into our program sales and revenue report, which is essentially a shared report between sales and finance. And then finally, there's also the option to manage overdue invoices. We've got automatic reminders, but it's also there for people to follow up on manually. We also roll all of that up into a sales dashboard for each program, so that program owners as well as the sales team can monitor how it's going. So there's an ability to obviously transfer revenue to course owners on the revenue date after the course is going, but most people want to track how things are going leading up to the course. One of the key problems we were trying to solve was to give real-time visibility on how the course is tracking in terms of sales. So we can track both gross and net sales. So gross sales is total sales before people transfer out or withdraw. Net sales is obviously after movements. We can help you monitor the average price per seat, so you're not over discounting, and can use the price plans to manage that average price per seat. Look at the capacity sold, enrollments and movements over time. So if you look at the little graph down the bottom with the blue and red bars, that's enrollments versus withdrawals at any given month for this program. The most important one, the graph in the middle, is the progress to budget. So you can set a budget based on picking a percentage of the capacity that you want to fill the class based on the advertised price, which is usually your standard price, and then track how you're progressing to that goal. The target is obviously the close date of enrollments, and then the orange line is basically a straight line for you to track from when sales started to that close date and see how you're tracking. You can change the budget as well to track different scenarios. There's also reporting on price plan distribution to help you manage the revenue and make sure that the average price per seat doesn't get too low. We also have channel and campaign attribution. So channel sales, channels are the ones within the platform, like from the sales team, from the customer, from the internal catalog, from the AI advisor, open pathways, etc. And campaign attribution is the ability to tag a link as people come onto the platform to track your marketing campaigns. We have a sales leaderboard where you can track who the top salespeople are for that particular course. And then finally, while we do recommend using price plans to manage your revenue, there's obviously also the ability to overlay discount codes. So you can look at how discounting is being used as well. So I'm just going to briefly touch on how to pull all of this together to actually manage and drive revenue. So Kathleen talked about what price plans are, and we covered off what most of them are, but there's the ability to create quite a lot of rules around price plans in terms of who they're targeted at and who can see them when. But essentially, they're designed to drive demand for particular groups at a particular time. So we have the open ones that Kathleen talked about. You can also filter price plans based on date, whether that be early bird. You can make early bird disappear after a certain date. Different corporate partners, which we'll cover off in the partner program, students, alumni, staff, and we can also target based on geolocation. So you want to use this to drive particular commercial outcomes. As Kathleen said, they can be either publicly advertised or not, depending on what you're trying to achieve. If you wanted to advertise your partner program pricing, that lets people know that you have a partner program. And then they can contact you to become a member of that program. And it can be combined with multi-seat discounting and discount codes. So you have to be careful you don't over-discount by using all three mechanisms at the same time. Purchase terms are the conditions under which people buy them. Now, most people just have one set of purchase terms per delivery type. What Academy now lets you do is have different purchase terms that you can apply to those purchase plans. That allows you to be a bit more strategic about how you manage your revenue. So, for example, in the example that Kathleen gave us, you can make the more discounted price of early bird not have the same level of flexibility for transfers, which means that you might actually have even early purchasers choose a more flexible price plan. There's a rules engine for setting up your terms. It's reasonably flexible, so you can come in and create two types of fees, fixed fees and percentage fees based on days out for transfers, separate set of rules for withdrawals and substitutions. There's no fee, but you can say whether or not substitutions are allowed and at what time frame substitutions can happen leading up to the course. So just for clarity, a substitution is when you change the name, so a different person attends than the person who purchased it. So again, just to re-emphasize it, you can then pull all those two things together to create different price points based on flexibility, not just time. So that means that people such as particularly in executive education might choose to buy the flexible pricing because they value that flexibility. And people who choose early bird are happy to make sure that they don't transfer in exchange for giving you certainty that they're going to turn up to that class and you don't lose that revenue to a future cohort. So last, I just wanted to touch on how you pull all of that together to create your partner program for those selling B2B and to organizations. So partner program is designed to help you move away from single seat sales towards portfolio level deals. There are three elements that you can use to pull together a partner program. Two of them relate to the finance and sales features, and one relates to general features and on the platform, as well as other things that you can offer your customers from within your organization. So first being exclusive pricing, which we've touched on. Sitting underneath, I'll talk a little bit more about how we can set up the different levels of exclusive pricing in a moment. Development funds are essentially credits purchased from an organization that are stored on the platform, and there are rules around who can use those funds and when, and then added benefits. So let's touch on exclusive pricing. Again, it can appear at the bottom of the page like this, but we can also set up multiple levels. So it doesn't just have to be one level of partner pricing. You can have platinum, gold, or silver in the example that Kathleen gave. And you can choose to display certain ones to certain people. It doesn't have to be levelized. You could have founding partners and short course partners, for example. And the idea is that you start to be seen as a capability partner because you're pricing your portfolio rather than pricing individual courses, and you can have a conversation with the customer about committing budget to you. The key advantage of exclusive pricing is also it helps drive demand from within the target organizations, because to get this pricing, all that someone needs to do is sign up with an email address that you've registered from that organization. The next level is development funds. So you could offer exclusive pricing without development funds. Development funds is where they've prepaid you a sum of money that can be drawn down over any given period of time. You put in an expiry date for that. You can also set up the rules of who can use it. So usually you'd put the team leads or managers in as users of that fund, and they can come in and decide what courses each of their employees does. And it's drawn down at whatever rate you give that customer in the exclusive pricing. Again, it's designed to speed up the sales cycle because they don't need to know what they're going to buy before they commit their revenue to you, their budget to you. It allows you to become that capability partner and to sell the whole portfolio and hopefully capture a large share of the L&D budget for your target market as well. And it works the same way as the credit on hold that Kathleen showed you in the example, except it's going to be a much larger sum of money. And that money, when it comes to a development fund, though, can be divided up amongst multiple users. So if it's a $50,000 fund that you're giving $5,000 to each manager to use with their team, they will only be able to spend $5,000, not the whole $50,000. But the residual, if there's leftover, goes back into the pool for the organization to spend. Added benefits are just adding an extra layer of value on top of that program to make it more productized, so that you're not just setting up a program that's parking funds, but also adding additional value. Position your partner program as a product rather than just a financial mechanism, and it also rewards loyalty. And it also, I guess the key thing is also it gives a touch point for the sponsor if you want to come back and see them and talk to them throughout the program. Things that you might add are things like free online courses. If you already have some self-paced courses, there's no additional cost to you of running those courses if you already have the content. Exclusive masterclasses, capability assessments, and if they've given you enough development funds, dedicated account management and quarterly reviews. So when you pull all that together, you can create essentially 3 different levels of a program. Level 1 is simply applying discounts to particular courses and you're not asking a particular commitment from the partner. Level 2 is where you would start to ask for a commitment, say a minimum of $25,000 a year spend, increase the discount. You may also choose to increase the flexibility that you're offering level 2 customers in terms of withdrawals and transfers. And finally, at level 3 is where you ask for an even bigger commitment, but you also throw in the value-added extras. So you can have all 3 levels running, or you can choose just to start with one, depending on what sort of program that you want to set up. So setting up the program is relatively easy. You've just got to decide on those levels and the way that you want to set it up. You set up your partners in the platform. You just go in and add each customer, their email domain, and into that section as well. Then when you set up your price plan, to just say this price plan is available to platinum partners. So that then automates the process from there on terms of purchasing for that customer, because you've registered their email domain. They can then register. If they have a development fund, you would also add that development fund at step 3. And then finally, you've got to remember to productize it and promote it. It's particularly if you added those value-added extras in. In terms of a good starting point, it's probably best to start at level 1, get the exclusive pricing up and running, start to get a bit of momentum with customers, and then move to level 2 and level 3 as you get more customers. I'll just quickly wrap up with what's next for the Sales and Finance Suite and what's on our roadmap for the rest of this year. We're already working on some additional sales dashboards to roll up to the whole organization level. That does include being able to split the sales by organizational units. So if you're a large organization with faculties, be able to look at sales by faculty. You can also look at sales by customer and then roll up customer course sales for particular what we call a curriculum category. So all of the leading successful team courses across the year, et cetera, and then set an overall annual budget by each of these categories as well. We've got some enhanced customer profiles coming so that you can dig in and see different things about each of your customers when you go into their profile. We're creating some enhanced proposals, the ability to attach a PDF proposal as well as the online proposal that goes out. Another requested feature from our larger institutions is staff journaling for staff purchases. So obviously staff are often a customer of your own organization, and that's not really appropriate that they pay by credit card. It's usually paid by internal transfer, so we'll be automating that. And then towards the end of the year, we'll be adding cohort-based pricing so that you can sell whole cohorts to customers to run in-house, as well as bundling courses together. I think we are just over time. So I guess hand back to Donna to wrap us up.
All right. In the interest of time, I will let you go. I think that we've answered most of the questions that have come through. We will send out a recording of this session afterwards, and you'll also be able to find it on our website. So thanks everyone for joining us, and have a great Friday. Bye.